Walter, you please step forward.
Hey, Walter.
How's it going?
Tell us about the genesis of your creature.
I wanted him to have evolved for better fighting, so I figured instead of making wings attached to his arms, I would make separate wings so that he could fight with his hands, but also be flying at the same time.
It's a really impressive character. Some of the facial forms and the sculpting, really cool. I think a couple of dark tones coming around from the back would help. I love that you try to push yourself, that you're swinging for the fence, especially here in the semifinals.
Thank you.
Your character has a lot of nice tones. I especially like what you did around the eyes, and there's some really beautiful moments like in the ear, and you have some nice veining going on. But it would have been better if those wings were not up. You should have just tied the buggers down.
Yeah.
I think that the most successful thing you've achieved here is the fact that it feels like this could be in the Kong world. My favorite feature on this guy is definitely the orbital region. There's some really cool shapes happening there. I'm glad to see that Shadow is highlighting that. I'm loving what you're doing.
Thank you.
Walter, you can head back. Mel, please step up. Good evening, Mel.
Good evening, V.
Tell us about your Skull Island creation.
In evolution, they became bipeds, walking on 2 feet. So this part is actually fashioned from what they've evolved from. They've taken that and made it into armor.
Cool idea. I mean, she's so elegant. The distance read is a little muddy facially, but when you get up close, it's nice. I like the little bits of red here and there. You've really stepped up on this one.
Thank you.
This is pretty darn cool.
Thanks.
The mouth, it's subtle from a distance, but up close it gets even more appealing. But if you would have maybe broken up the face a little bit with a bit more specularity, that would have helped, I think, showcase more of the beautiful sculptural form you have happening on that face.
Thank you.
The way that your fabrication integrates with the character is gorgeous. One tripping point here is that mouth should have been synthesized into the human nature of the performer. But I love the shapes of it.
Thank you.
Mel, please step back.
Good job.
Rob, please step to the center.
Hello, Rob. Hi. Tell us about your concept.
As the creature evolved, it shrank in size, so it adapted to mimicking and camouflaging to survive, basically.
You've really done an exceptional job. You're so damn good at sculpting. To have scales morph across the surface from primary to secondary to tertiary, that takes an awareness that is an innate skill set. But watch out for the big shapes, though. It's the profile. This is terrible.
Okay.
It's a visual feast, delicious sculptural detail, so awesome work there. But when you have a sculpt that's that beautiful with detail, you really need to give yourself the time to allow the paint to help show off how great the detail is. Just wish you would have brought the wardrobe up to hide some of the sins of the application. Other than that, great work.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that you didn't take your airbrush at the end and just give a couple of little pops on some of that beautiful sculpting that you did. I really would have liked to have seen it painted beautifully. Rob, thank you very much. Please head back. Melissa?
And Melissa,
Hi, Glenn.
tell us about your concept.
For their evolution, they are scavenger creatures, so they became smarter and started building traps to capture fresh food.
It's a gorgeous makeup. I think there's a really harmonious balance between the amount of time that you spent fabricating and the amount of time you spent on a makeup. I wish that those attenuated feelers were in a slightly different position. They sort of hang down over his eyes. That's a tiny note on an otherwise great makeup.
This is a pretty cool character. I especially love the paint scheme. Really nice colors with those beautiful warm browns, a little bit of red in there. All of these beautiful sculptural pieces around the mouth, and it all works when he moves. It goes in and out. Very nice job tonight, Melissa.
Thank you.
There's so much good stuff here. This chess piece is beautiful in so many ways. The third dimension coming out is great. Bottom line, you have a complete character that's aesthetically pleasing. Very nice work.
Thank you. Judges decide who will move on to the finale. All right, judges, so you have some big decisions to make. Why don't we start with Walter?
You know, he has some nice vein work in there. He had some beautiful shading around the eyes, some really great stuff over on the sides by the ears.
There's some things about it that I really do like. I don't think that it's his best effort. The sculpting got a little soft for my taste.
It's immediately recognizable. He's very strong conceptually. This guy has a vision. That's such an important piece of the criteria moving someone forward to the finale.
All right, let's move on to Mel.
The paint application's very nice. She's shown off some beautiful application technique. Don't love the forms though. They're so primary.
I really did like the form language. In its simplicity, its uniqueness, and its symmetry, I felt was very bold.
This is the best thing she's done on the show yet.
All right, let's move on to Rob.
He had very poor time management. The paint job is unfinished. That yellow chest is just blank.
But absolutely gorgeous detailing on the sculpture. It's unbelievable that someone at his age would have a skill set that allows him to pull off that kind of detailing.
The overall shape was more dog-like, but the precision and the definition of the scales astound me.
Up until now, his work has been stellar. So this puts me on the fence tonight with him.
All right, let's move on to Melissa.
The sculpture of the face is gorgeous. There's so many forms, and each of them painted appropriately.
She had a lot of different paint techniques going on, like the dry brushing and the airbrushing on the chest piece.
That lack of a cowl was incredibly foresightful to know that she was going to be able to pull off the rear and the front, to have the stuff in the middle, the cowl, not even count.
She seems to be getting better every single challenge we put in front of her.
All right, judges, have you chosen your final three?
We have
Let's bring them back out. All right, it's time to find out the first person to make it to this season's finale. Then who is the winner of this challenge?
the winner of tonight's challenge. And the first person moving on to the finale is...
He's screaming, taunting her. You're unsafe. The way she was killed, how violent it was, is just unspeakable. This is an individual enjoying what he's doing, a sociopath, and he does not want to get caught. He didn't cover all of his tracks. The UPC code was still left on the suitcase. It was hiding in plain sight. It was the thing that turned the whole case.
All new One Deadly Mistake starts Tuesday 8:30 on Bravo.
This week on SAS Australia.
This course is just not for most of you. This evening, I will be cutting this group down.
Facing being culled from the course, the recruits now will endure their most punishing day yet.
The more you mess around in here and you start flapping, I will keep you in there until you compose yourselves.
The body will go further than you can ever expect, but you have to have control and determination with your mind. If that fails, you fail.
Are you okay? Yes, stop! Start switching on, otherwise I'll just keep you there. Enter the water. Go.
Underwater based activities might be my downfall.
Brought to you by Torpedo 7, SAS Australia, Thursday 7:30 on Bravo.
All right, it's time to find out the first person to make it to this season's finale. Glenn, who is the winner of this challenge?
The winner of tonight's challenge. And the first person moving on to the finale is... Melissa.
Yes. Thank you.
Your evolutionary concept drove a series of great creative decisions, and your character was probably the best realized for this specific challenge. Great work.
Thank you. I'm so glad that the judges love my makeup. I'm so glad that I'm the first one in. That's like such an honor.
Melissa, congratulations on being the first finalist. And of course, you have also won an incredible trip to visit Universal Orlando Resort and the upcoming Skull Island Reign of Kong attraction.
I win the prize, and I'm so excited to take my son. I've never been to Universal Orlando, and I can't wait to go. I am on top of the world.
All right, Glenn, who is the
person moving on to the finale is.
Did you know
Walter.
that German
We thought that your scholarly
sailors
inspiration
mutinied
loud and clear, and there
in
were some really
1918
cool sculptural shapes,
in a
specifically around
Baltic
the eyes.
port,
To be in the
hastening
finale,
the
it's surreal,
end of
it's
World
crazy,
War One.
just overwhelmed with
Did you know
how
that?
proud I am. Feels
Yes,
so
I
good.
think I did.
Congratulations, Walter.
Yes.
You've also made it to the finale.
Thank you.
Are you listening to this?
All right. We have two artists left, and
Right?
only one of you can join us in the finale. So, Glenn, who has earned the last spot?
I might change it.
Employee?
Do you want me to mute it?
اكتر حاجه بسطهم او اكتر حاجه مفرحاهم ان عماد دلوقتي قدر يعتمد على
But
Extreme makeover.
Is my home away from home.
It's an amazing shopping destination. Difficult for people to hear. Love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. I know some of you follow me because you ate the loaves and fishes and were filled. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for food that endures to eternal life, which I will give you. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life